Eloise in Oxonia, a creative podcast by the Oxford Writers' House. Follow English student Eloise Weaver as she moves through the city of Oxford, encountering stories, past and present. Eloise's adventures are fantasy, but the authors, people and ideas she encounters are as real as you and I.
Here we are again. Tonight is my first college bop. We're all going. Me, Iris, Quincy and Tessa. Jax can't come because he's going to some kind of poker night, but Omari told us Jax might be out at the club afterwards. A bop is an Oxonian party, typically themed. Robin Hood, old Hollywood, anything but clothes, the letter T, anything really. It's a quintessential part of the Oxonian experience, Omari says. He's studying tonight, but he wished us all good luck. Tonight's theme is Fresh as Farm. I heard there's a prize for best costume, but I doubt I'll win. I haven't even found mine yet. I'm running out of time now, so my favourite rabbit footy pyjamas will have to do. They're fuzzy and soft with padded feet and a large hood attached to floppy ears. It's a present from my mum from last Christmas. We always give pyjamas on Christmas. Rabbits belong on farms, don't they? I flashed my university card at the Christchurch porters, who were all wearing bowler hats. They nod and wave me on. A maze of quadrangles follows. After turning through several stone arches, I find myself in a back garden, staring at a very small, dark green door set in a stone wall. A woman with bright hair is walking towards me, then stops when she sees me staring at the door.
Oh, I've seen you notice that little door in the wall. Did you know that's one of the inspirations for Alice in Wonderland? Do you want me to tell you the story?
Before I can answer, she adds,
Lewis Carroll is a really fascinating figure because there's the man and the myth. And I think that's the case for Alice in Wonderland as well. There's the story of the literary work and there's the story of the popular culture phenomenon of Alice in Wonderland. Lewis Carroll came to Christchurch as a student. Then he stayed in Christchurch all his life as a lecturer in mathematics. The influence of Oxford, once you see it, you cannot unsee it. We started our journey at that little door in the wall, go down the rabbit hole, but then there's all sorts of little bits and pieces of Oxford that make it into the story. There's, for instance, the moment where Alice nibbles a mushroom and she suddenly starts growing, but the first thing that starts stretching is her neck. When you go into the dining hall at Christchurch, the brass ornaments are ladies with very, very long necks. So you can really see how Lewis Carroll was using details from the college, from the environment which the girls would have known to embellish the story. Suddenly all of these little odd details in the college come to life, and without Oxford, obviously, there would be no Alice in Wonderland. At this point, it's worth pointing out that Alice is a dream story. Lewis Carroll was one of the people who thought that maybe actually we could learn something from what is actually revealed in our dreams. Maybe they give us a different way of thinking, insight into the human mind that could do more for us than rational thought. The dream does something very productive in Alice in Wonderland. It lifts the hypocrisies of the adult world by means of nonsense poetry. So Alice in Wonderland is full of little children's rhymes that are based on real little rhymes that children would have learned in school perhaps, or through their parents. And so Alice's dream shows us perhaps what the child mind is really thinking about all of these pretentious, hypocritical adults and their ideologies, even though it's very much Lewis Carroll's voice talking. The theme of madness runs all the way through Alice. I think it's perhaps easy to describe Alice as completely mad. Lewis Carroll's madness actually originated in his interest in dreams. This is really interesting because around 1850, we find a note in his diary, and this is about 15 years pre-Alice. Lewis Carroll records a question to himself, wondering if when we are dreaming and we are seeing and hearing things that aren't really there, is this a state of madness, perhaps? How can we tell whether this is the waking or the dreaming mind, or whether this is actually sanity or insanity? Taking the Mad Tea Party, this is the point at which everything everything changes for Alice. Before she gets to the Mad Tea Party, she meets the Cheshire Cat that's sitting up in a tree. When she asks, which way should I go? And the Cheshire Cat says, well, this way lives a hatter and this way lives a hare. But it doesn't really matter because they're both mad. And Alice is absolutely desperate. She says, oh, but I don't want to go among mad people. Cheshire Cat says, well, you can't help it. We're all mad here. And Alice is really offended and says, well, how do you know I'm mad? And the Cheshire Cat grins and says, well, otherwise you wouldn't have come here. And this comes down to Lewis Carroll obviously studying dreams, and many Victorian psychologists at the time thinking that dreams are a manifestation of madness. And Carroll does something very clever here. He plays with the image of the Mad Tea Party. Now, again, this is where we have to insert a little intermission on Victorian history of science. Lewis Carroll's uncle was something called a lunacy commissioner. Commissioners in lunacy were a government-instituted bunch of people who supervised Victorian lunatic asylums. They reformed them also. One of the things that they instituted was entertainments for patients in lunatic asylums, which included dances and tea parties. This is important for Alice in Wonderland because Alice walks into this mad tea party as the visitor who would have come to the lunatic asylum, and they would have seen what was going on there. Now, Alice, at this point, has a real turning point in the novel, because, again, like with all of the other Wonderland characters, the Mad Tea Party, every single person there is really rude to her. Something is different, though, because this time Alice says, you are the stupidest tea party I have ever seen in my life. And she gets up and she walks out. And that's the first time she gains agency in the story. And it's really significant because those are the characters that are meant to be the adults telling her about the rules for how to behave at a tea party. She walks back to the tree where she met the Cheshire Cat that told her there's no choice, she can only go left or right. But suddenly there's a door in the tree. She opens it and she goes through, and finally she gets to the garden that she's been wanting to get to since the moment she fell down the rabbit hole. So it's really clever of Carroll to work with his image. It's meant to be very, very clear where the mad people are sitting, but Carroll turns it on its head, so it's actually the people who make the rules that turn out to be the mad people and who get to stay at the Mad Tea Party. And Alice, who's meant to be the child, who's meant to be educated, who's meant to be the crazy one, she's the one who gets to walk out. So Carroll is really clever, and it's really affirmative of dreaming, of creative thought, of childlike thought. People say it's a nonsensical story, there's no growth, it just goes all over the place. But really there is growth. Studying Alice in Wonderland in this context can really tell us a lot, not just about Alice in Wonderland, but about preconceptions we might have about the Victorian world, about history, and where we think the things that we come from. So it's sometimes worth paying attention to just a children's book.
I pull open the door to the JCR. I'm immediately relieved that I'm not the only one wearing an animal onesie. A small herd of spotted cows pad past me. One waves. I see a pair of friendly pink pigs, but an unwanted memory from this afternoon suddenly resurfaces. A farm theme, Tessa had said. Anything from Eloise's wardrobe will do then. She laughed. It was meant as a joke, or was it? Are my clothes that bad? I try not to think about it. It's nice to feel included. I find my friends in one corner. Quincy is a country farmer with a cardboard pitchfork. Tessa is a checkered black and white hen with a bright red headband. Iris is a flamingo. You're late, says Quincy, but at least you're not a flamingo. I know. Long story. I love your costume, Iris, I say timidly, gazing at the explosion of pink feathers. I'm Ophelia today, she replies, with her delicious voice. A gorgeous concept, of course, says Tessa. Don't know what it has to do with farms or Shakespeare, but I approve. Flamingo farms, replies Iris Ophelia. Everyone ignores her. Nice costume, says Quincy, lightly poking me with his cardboard pitchfork. Rabbits are the natural enemies of farmers. Thank you, I reply. The party ticks on like clockwork. Snippets of conversation float in and out. The wine keeps flowing, splashing a little here and there on oak tables. Wine is the lifeblood of any good writer, Tessa explains confidently to a semicircle garden of faces dressed as vegetables. Write drunk, edit sober. Hemingway, I suggest? Tessa scowls. I don't think so. Certainly not, actually. My English tutor only said it this morning. The cabbage chokes into her drink, and one of the carrots covers her mouth to stifle laughter. I don't get what's so funny. Meanwhile, Quincy is speaking to an ear of corn, saying, My investing strategy? Pigs get rich, hogs get slaughtered. You're already rich, says the corn, swirling his wine. More never hurts, Quincy replies. Isn't your father in the House of Lords? Quincy winks. Yours isn't? The rooster starts talking about politics. He has a squeaky voice. Best costume here, he squeaks. Couldn't say. I'm a socialist. All animals should be equal. I venture a guess. Orwell? Quincy laughs. Orwell what? He says, poking me again. I look down at my feet. I don't think I know anything anymore. Things are getting a bit blurry. I get another drink. Conversations are swirling faster and faster. 2 older students are discussing why Freshers' Week is also called Shark Week. You know why, he says. Fresh fish everywhere. What are they talking about? Do I know nothing? My cheeks are flushing pink. I should have been the flamingo. It's getting louder in here. I'm getting the disconcerting feeling of growing larger and smaller at the same time. Am I taking up the whole room? Is everyone staring? Can anyone even see me at all? With relief, I see Iris Ophelia cutting back through the crowd. Come on, she shouts. We're going to the portal. A portal is a wormhole between 2 worlds, a magical doorway, an interdimensional entrance, an invisible bridge between stars. But in Oxonia, the portal is a loud, sticky nightclub down Bridge Street. The interior is a fishbowl. Inside, everything is brash, echoing, throbbing with non-stop subaquatic pounding bass. I'm not used to being in a place like this. It's uncomfortable and... Is that sweat running down the walls? Tessa shoves another drink into my hands. I can't. This is almost certain to disagree with me sooner or later, I say, with some difficulty. Come on, says Tessa. You'll be fine. There's an image in my head of that arch spanning the Cherwell River. It's perfect and picturesque, a prettily curved silhouette reflecting over calm waters. I wish I was there right now. Someone brings me another aqua-coloured drink with a purple flower garnish. Half of it splashes down my front. Drink it! Drink it! Quincy and Tessa chant in unison. Things blur in and out. The purple flower becomes a tiny face. Drink me, it says in a squeaky voice. I oblige. Next round's on you. Already? I weave my way towards the bar, but I don't know where it is. I'm floundering in a dense river of shrunken heads. Above is the belly of a bridge built out of beams of flashing strobe lights and columns of rapidly changing colours. Groups of pretty girls cut through, knocking me down at times, pushing me along with them. Other bops are funneling into the portal. Knights and ladies, tennis players, magic mushrooms, butterflies, red roses wearing glasses. I see a fellow rabbit slipping through the crowd with confidence. I'll follow her. I struggle to keep the rabbit in sight, but she disappears into the mass and I am alone, drowning. After a lifetime of struggling against chests, elbows and unforgiving shoulders, I find respite at the bar. I order 3 shots and down them all myself, and the river morphs into a whirlpool. A group of tennis players bowls me over, but I'm caught by one arm with a gloved hand at the end. I detect a familiar scent. I feel the brush of a velvet sleeve as I turn to face a mysteriously masked figure in a playing card costume. A king? No, a jack. The figure gives a sweep of the arm. An invitation to dance. I shake my head vigorously no. The figure gracefully throws up his hands in mock despair. He shrugs, charade kisses my hand, and slips away. I look down. He's dropped something. A black notebook. I shove it into my oversized front pouch. What was that scent? I remember now. Bergamot and jasmine. I rejoin my friends. Who was that? Tessa demands. What did he say to you? Why did he even say anything to you? Quincy says. I smell a Jax, whose face has launched 1,000 ships. What did he say to you? He wanted me to dance, I say, shuffling my feet, a sense of outright panic growing. Tessa rolls her eyes. Do you mean that he asked you to dance and you refused? I nod. Are you insane? Screeches Tessa, genuinely furious. You'll never recover from this. I don't know what to do, so I do what rabbits do best. At the first opportunity, I run away, out of the portal, out of the darkness, and into the swimming streetlights. As I run, I am reminded of a poem I read at school, and I reel it round and round in my head to try and calm myself.
Walk a little faster, said a whiting to a snail. There's a porpoise close behind us, and he's treading on my tail. See how eagerly the lobsters and the turtles all advance. They are waiting on the shingle. Will you come and join the dance? Will you, won't you, will you, won't you, will you join the dance? Will you, won't you, will you, won't you join the dance? You can really have no notion how delightful it will be when they take us up and throw us with the lobsters out to sea. But the snail replied, too far, and gave a look askance. Said he thanked the whiting kindly, but he would not join the dance. Would not, could not, would not, could not, would not join the dance. Would not, could not, would not, could not join the dance. Would not, could not, would not, would not join the dance.
I emerge into the cold night, gasping for air. I catch my breath and look around. Everything is foreign. The streetlights bloom and arch weirdly. Underwater halos hang from lampposts shining overhead. Shop signs pour streams of photons onto the mean cobblestones. Everything is upside down and inside out. How much did I drink? I want to cry, but I'm too afraid to add more water to the world. It looks like it might rain, and I can't afford to drown before I get home. A sea of surreal animals swim past me. Smiling cats holding their own tails, birds of paradise, parrots. Are they all sneering? Are they mocking me? What, if anything, is real here?
What matters it how far we go? His scaly friend replied. There is another shore, you know, upon the other side. The further off from England, the nearer is to France. Then turn not pale, beloved snail, but come and join the dance. Will you, won't you, will you, won't you, will you join the dance? Will you, won't you, will you, won't you join the dance?
I can't find a clock to check the time, or for that matter a compass to check the direction. My phone is dead, and I'm always lost without it. I trail behind streams of straggling partygoers carrying their shoes until I finally stumble onto Merton Street. It's dark. Someone has lost her sparkly heel, possibly on purpose. The cobblestones are slippery. Just wait till it starts to rain, someone's voice echoes from across the street. Merton Street's a right death trap in the rain. I'm on the right street, but I can't seem to find the door to college. I fumble in my pockets for the magic fob. I can't find my fob. I beat my fist 3 times on a promising wooden hexagon with golden hinges. It swings open. A square of light hits the cobblestones. Safety at last. I hear the welcoming voice of the porter greeting me. You just need one good turn. It's all you need, says the porter jovially as he demonstrates and twists the heavy brass doorknob. Are you all right, love? You look a little droopy. A window is a modern contraption made of clear glass. A way to see out, but also a way to see in. My window tonight reflects a blurry red face, like a mirror. I see a rabbit with mascara black eyes. The window pane is banging against the wall, dripping with rain. I slam it shut. I reach deep into my pockets and pull out my precious black book. I dare to look inside. It's a diary. Jax's calendar for the coming term. I snap it shut like an alligator. Everything is far away, as if I'm looking through a telescope. A kaleidoscope, even. Are you still there? Well, I must sleep now, so good night if you are, and I suppose, good night if you're not.
Episode 3 of Eloise in Oxonia was written by Anne Menduzia and Dr. April Power. The episode features original readings by Esme Rhodes and Judith Bunting and was edited by Ursula White. Dr. Franziska Kohlt gives historical context for the work of Lewis Carroll, and Kai Miller reads the Mock Turtle's Song. Special thanks goes to the National Poetry Archive for their expert support.